a chance to seal it. It's done. It's Georgie Kelly. Rotherham United's pathway back to the championship is opening up.
Hello everybody, welcome to New York Talk. This is the Rotherham United podcast. Thank you all for being with us on Sunday evening as we try to find a bit of positivity to find after Saturday's mauling. So there we go. Mick, how are you on Sunday evening?
I'm all right, mate. No, nothing to report here, mate. All good.
Quieter than Danny's beer.
Yeah, quieter than Danny's beer, yeah.
Danny, how's it going? Danny's joining us from his holiday. That's serious commitment, Danny. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries at all. No, he's committed me. On holiday in Tattersall at the Lakes. Needed it after that game yesterday, to be honest. But
yeah, you weren't going to go after the game yesterday. You decided you've got to get away. Yeah. So yeah, we've got the review of the 4-2 loss to Hull City, and then we go again Tuesday night game. The game, our second game of the season has been now rearranged, and it comes again this week with Coventry City. All being well, who knows with them with that lot? Who knows what can happen down at that place at the minute? To be honest with you, but it should be going ahead without any issues, particularly. Difficult to know where to start, to be honest. I'll come to you first. Let's start with the starting 11. He went back. He took Humphreys back out of the starting 11. And that's been a topic of conversation for everybody, to be honest with you. It didn't really make any sense. I get the Grant Hall taking Grant Hall out. That makes perfect sense because Grant Hall, he came off with an injury. So if you can avoid risking him, don't risk him. Woody comes back in because it's Richard Wood. You always bring Richard Wood back in wherever possible. And Wes Harding. Wes Harding has been very solid. And to be fair, it was okay on yesterday from memory. And we've praised Lee Peltier. But they were very quick, and we needed that extra little bit of pace, which Cameron Humphreys gives you. It doesn't seem like that was the right decision at the time. Never mind with hindsight for me.
No, I don't really understand why Cam Humphreys is not getting a start. We're a far better defence with him in it, as we proved at the beginning of the season, and it's a bit strange, really. I don't know whether Is he nursing an injury? Is he? I mean, I accept he's on the bench and he has come on. So if he is nursing an injury, it's not that serious. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Like I said, whether he just thinks experience. I don't know. But we are, in my view, a much better defence with Cameron Humphreys in it. Much better. So yeah, I don't know what the issue is there, if there is one. He should be playing for me, definitely.
Yeah, and it sort of compounds it, Danny, with the starting 11. You got Shane Ferguson, who is a very, very experienced player, but to say he had a poor game is maybe understating it a little bit. I thought yesterday, and we needed the pace, and that's something that Matt Taylor should have understood. He do research and everything else. We probably should have had Cohen Bramall playing as well from the start.
Yeah, I think Bramall would have injected some of that pace that we needed, like you say. I think Ferguson got old-manned a couple of times as well. There was one instance in the first half where their wide players completely done him for his pace, and Rathbones had to come in and recover for him. I think that should have been one of the things that Matt Taylor should have looked at and probably brought Bramall in maybe early in the second half, potentially just to shake it up a little bit. I know we had to bring Rathbone off because I believe he got an injury. So that's why I swapped him out for a Dauphin. But yeah, I think Bramall would have brought some much needed pace down that left-hand side, because even though Norton Cuffy wasn't getting forward as much as I would have liked, it would have given them something else to think about. But we say that, but hindsight's a beautiful thing. And I'm sorry if I'm really shaky, because this table's really wobbly that I'm sitting on. Like it's like being at sea. It just keeps dipping up and down.
There's no sound issues yet, which is, I suppose, the most important thing. So that's a bonus.
Thank the Lord for data roaming, because the Wi-Fi here is terrible.
Yeah. Well, just thankfully I'm going to sit in a car park like Mick does. That's the positive.
Yeah, I suppose that's a bit of a luxury. I'm not in a car park. Although David Scrivens has highlighted something in the comments.
Yeah, that's Davis Cruz says, very disappointing, Danny. I expected him to go in live from the hot tub.
I forgot my trunks, I'm sorry.
I'm not convinced that's something I really want to see, to be honest. No offense, mate.
Hey, it might bring the subscribers up, you never know.
Paramount UK says, too little pace at the back. We got caught with our pants down a little bit. Yeah, and if we go back to the first goal, Mick, it was a really, really poor bit of defending from another set piece. I say another set piece. Well, I don't think we've conceded loads, but our defence from set pieces since Matt Taylor's come in has dropped off significantly. And that was just a pinball thing. There were 2 or 3 opportunities to get it clear where the defenders just looked like they panicked a bit just to get a bit of contact on it, and it just dropped further into danger. That's a massive area of concern. Only one of the goals came from set pieces, so I might be making them out of a molehill. But it feels like a bit of a pattern that we're just not conceding. I don't think we're dealing with set pieces very well at the minute.
No, we're not. And how that didn't get cleared is beyond me. You know, I mean, there were just so many defenders there, and probably 1 or 2 attackers from memory. I've not watched it back, so I don't really want to be honest with you. But yeah, it should have been cleared. It's just, you know, I don't know whether it was a case of after you, no after you, or what, but that should have ended up in row Z. You know, it should have been that should have been from one of our defenders, an attempt on goal from a Stoke striker is what that should have been. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it kind of, well, I would say it kind of set the tone for the rest of the game, but it didn't really. We just that part of the defensive mistakes was the only one of that type in the game, but there were plenty more, unfortunately. But that was schoolboy defending.
Yeah, well. Jamie says, seemed like an old version of ourselves yesterday. Just tried to boot the ball to ease one too many times. The pressing was non-existent. Paul Brock says Ferguson was poor, apart from his through ball to Barlasser for the goal, which we'll talk about. How Barlasser managed to keep the ball in from going out for a throw. Inadvertently made it a good pass. A few bits of positivity, Danny. Barlasser was very, very good. Almost single-handedly tried to keep us in the game. Brilliant finish for the first one. They had no right to sort of get that in from there.
No, I'm sorry. These two arseholes sat behind me keep making me laugh. Really, I'm trying to be serious. We've lost the ball. I'm trying to be serious here. But yeah, sorry. Yeah, Barlasser's quality for his finish. I think we all thought the game was going to change after half time because we just snuck the goal in at half time. And like we conceded at the worst time, but then scored at the best time. Because Matt Taylor must have burned through about 3 sheets of paper thinking about what his half-time team talk was going to be. And yeah, Barlasser was quite strong in midfield. I thought he wasn't quite on his top game, but his finish was the flash of what we're capable of. And in the second half, we just didn't apply it. I don't think we just didn't apply it in the correct ways, or just didn't play the correct way. I've seen a few people say it was like our old selves a little bit, and it's like, yes, sort of. It's like we just didn't know how to stop them. They were playing a million miles an hour, like we said on the post-match, and we just didn't know how to stop it or even slow it down. We just tried to play their game, and it didn't work because we didn't get it out of feet quick enough, or we didn't pass it quick enough, or whatever. Same with Barlasser, he didn't quite pass it quick enough, but when he did pass it, he passed it well. And yeah, I think he shot on target, which went in, and then Kelly's goal was probably just the 2 highlights. But yeah, I think is that Barlasser's first goal in open play this season?
I think so. Yeah, it's got a penalty, didn't it?
No, it's from a set piece. We had a free kick
from a set piece.
Fortunately,
yeah, that's number 8 for the season, mate.
Yeah. Yeah, we. I don't know what you could have done, mate. Let's put our, relatively low football and IQ together. And Hull came and played at 100 miles an hour, and we couldn't seem to stop them doing what they wanted to do. Seri absolutely ran the show for him. Him and Woods were brilliant in the midfield. What do? Do you go, right, we're going to wick him it for the first half an hour and just stop the game stop them doing what they're trying to do, because it was working. We were never in that game realistically.
No.
So we needed to do something else. We tried to match them, and you're not going to match those type of players. If they're on form, that's it. You can't match them. You've got to do something different. What do you think we should have done?
I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know. I mean, you've got those two players in midfield, so the first option is to man mark at least one of them, put Ollie on him or whatever, just to try and at least eliminate one of those dangers out of midfield. But the other thing is to try and keep the ball better, which we didn't do. And it felt like, and I know this is not the case, but it felt like we didn't really make any attempts to try and keep ball. We just sort of, let's get the ball as far away from our area as possible and try and breathe again. We just got bullied, and I don't mean physically bullied. I mean bullied from a footballing point of view. I've not seen anybody as good at New York Stadium this season. On the ball, they broke with so much pace, and they broke well as well. It wasn't just aimless balls upfield. It was just excellent football. So yeah, they managed to get themselves some momentum and get a foothold in the game straight after half time, and they just never let up from that point on. And we didn't have an answer.
No, we didn't.
But what I would also say is we didn't perform well enough. We didn't perform to our levels defensively, particularly. We allowed them far too much space and allowed them to get around the back as well. And then when he changed the system, it got even worse for me.
We'll come on to that. We'll come on to that, because that was a disaster. The changing system, a complete disaster. We mentioned Seri. It's worth pointing out that again, we often do this in the Championship. We sort of compare teams. Now, this guy was on 65k a week last year at Fulham, only on 30k a week apparently, according to one Hull fan.
That's not so bad, is it? Makes it a bit more realistic.
Not so bad. When these kind of players are on form, when you've got people of that caliber, there's going to be times where there's nothing you can do. I suppose. I might be giving him too much credit. He maybe being massively overpaid, but I was very impressed with Seri yesterday. Very, very impressed, Danny. I don't know what you thought. Their midfield won them the game. I know they did us with pace. I get that, but realistically, their midfield won the game for me. Oh
yeah, absolutely. Their distribution in midfield's completely outmatched ours, and they were just able to play it wide and then counter attack, or even play through middle and counter attack, and we didn't really have a response to it. Like I said, they were just playing at a million miles an hour. They passed it really efficiently. You can tell that's something they have been working on, because it was just like a fluid machine there passing in the midfield. And I think it was their number 8. Was it Woods? I think their number 8 was.
That was Doherty.
Oh,
Woods
Doherty.
15.
Oh, 15. Yeah, Woods played absolutely phenomenally. Like he was their best player on pitch, and we had no response to him. And yeah, I think their midfield really did win the game. I think it completely exploited us when we went 4 at the back. And well, to be fair, it exploited us when we were still 3 at the back as well. And we just couldn't match up to it. And that's something Matt Taylor's going to learn. And I'm sort of happy this sort of thing's happened early in his Rotherham tenure, because now he can learn from it more or less straight away. Like, I'd rather it happen now rather than getting completely outplayed like second to last game of the season, for example. And yeah, he's tried 4 at the back, which we haven't played in a long, long time.
2 years at least.
Yeah, 2 years at least, and it just didn't work. So that's something for the notebook, maybe for the January notebook or the tactics notebook or whatever. But yeah, their midfield completely bossed us. I know that we might get a little bit of grief on the post-match going after the referee a little bit, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a minute.
Oh yeah.
But on the pitch as well, we just got outplayed, didn't it? They weren't really phenomenal up top. They just did us on the counter and the distribution in midfield, and we just broke down because we didn't really have a response to it, which is a shame to admit, but at least we're honest.
Always honest on this podcast. Say it how we see it. Paul Brock says he thinks we made Hull look better by our poor play, not taking anything away from Hull, but I don't think they would have had as much joy if we had played them in August. Injuries obviously didn't help us. Yeah, I agree. I think Matt Taylor's naivety is not the right word. That sounds like I'm digging him out. He's like Danny says, he's learning on the job, isn't he? Championship's a different beast. He's done 3 seasons in League Two and a quarter of a season in League One. That's a massive step up. You know, even in League One, you can often match up teams. Any team from top to bottom, you can almost match it up. You're not going to get that. You're always going to get almost every team in this division, Nick, has got a player who is a phenomenal player. And if he turns up, you've got to do something. And he just didn't do anything to counteract those moments yesterday.
No, they didn't at all. The only thing he tried, like we alluded to earlier on, with the change of the formation, which just made it worse. So it's a learning process for him. Hopefully he'll get it right. I'm sure he will. You know, he didn't strike me as a man who'll just keep going with the same system, the same technique, the same methods, just for the sake of it, because he thinks they're right. He'll adapt. And you've got to understand, as a supporter of football, when you look across the Championship through each of the game weekends this season, there's results like this every week. That you don't expect, because like you pointed out just then, you know, that every team has got some quality in there. Sometimes they turn up, sometimes they don't. If they turned up every week, they'd be in Premier League, but they don't. They're not consistent, so they're in Championship. But when they do turn up, get ready, and that's what we got yesterday. You know, you talk to other supporters who played Hull this season, whose teams have played Hull this season, and you know, the worst team they'd ever seen. And yet they play us, and they're one of the best teams that we've seen all season. So that is the Championship, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is, and that's why people watch it. That's why it's one of the best leagues to be involved in, isn't it? It's still, and to be fair, from a league point of view, we've only dropped down one position. We're still in 11th, I think, now. So it's not like it's, and because these results are going to happen, it's going to have these results. Let's talk about the 4-4-2, Danny. This was a terrible decision, as it turned out, and I say as it turned out. We've talked about this. Don't play Richard Wood in a 4 at back. He's not got the pace and what he had before to deal with that. If you're going to go 4 at back, fine, but Humphreys needs to come on, or no, there's no or. Humphreys needed to come on. There was no either or. It had to be Humphreys. If you want to keep Hall in there, that's fine, but you had to take Woody off to go 4-4-2, and that's one of the reasons it was easy to get in and around us. There was just, as long as you're quicker than Woody, which they are because they were a quick team, they're off and away.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Woody suits the back 3 down to a T, because he's got the one man on his right, one man on his left. But in a back 2, I mean, we saw it when did we play 4 at the back last time we were in the Championship? We did, didn't we? Because we went and it didn't work at all. Like Woody and one who shall not be named at Chef Wednesday in that back 2 was nightmarish. But yeah, 3 at the back suits Woody. I think if you want to play 4 at the back, like you say, you just don't play Woody. You play Hall and Humphreys, or even Hall and McCart if you want that more left-sided player. But again, it's something that Matt Taylor's now learned. We've not played 4 at the back under Paul Warren for a long time because he knew. Oh, I've got my pound. Right, one of you to remind me. I need to put a pound in my pot when I get home because I've said the one who shall not be named at Derby. To remind me, that's your job. But yeah, the one who shall not be named at Derby, he played it, didn't work, found the system, and then went with that system. Matt Taylor's now done that. He's found the system that doesn't work, at least with Richard Wood in the team. So now he knows how to play Woody effectively, which is in the back 3. I think if we are going to play 4 at the back in future, he will bring someone else in for Woody, or just play it from the start and not have Woody in the team. I don't think. But again, even with Humphreys, Humphreys seems to suit a back 3.
I think that, yeah.
Because he's on that left side, he's got the experienced head next to him, and he's the more driving forward defender, but he also backtracks, which is something that suits Woody. Because then he's got that little bit of an overlap, which helps him out. But yeah, we've not seen Humphreys in a back 2, sorry, with Hall or anybody really. Might be something we see in future. Who knows? But yeah, 4 at the back don't suit Woody. I think that was a tinkering decision, and just the tinkering made it worse, which is unfortunate to say, but is what it is.
Yeah, I see what he's trying to do. He's trying to sort of put extra bodies in the wide areas because that's where we were getting really, really hurt. It then just made the central area much weaker. I mean, to go two bodies in the centre of midfield again, Mick, just didn't work. You needed we probably needed a fourth body in the centre of the pitch to stop what they were doing. It took players away from two of the areas because the strikers did okay. We'll go on to Eves and Wash in a minute. They did fine. Victor had this, other than the second goal, Victor kept us in the game. So it was just the central parts really that we needed those extra bodies. We needed 13 men, I suppose, didn't we?
No, the obvious change was to bring Washington off and put another midfielder on and play one up front. And then at least you would give you that opportunity to maintain your width and also an extra body in the centre of midfield to try and nullify their two main players in there. That would have been a better option than the 4-4-2 because 4-4-2 straight away is going to create your gaps either out wide or through the middle, one way or the other. It's going to create gaps because you've got less people, you've got less men in there. So. What can you do? It didn't work. Move on, I suppose is the answer, isn't it? Just don't do it again.
It will do it again. It will do it again. I'm no doubt it will do it again. And what I do like is it shows that he's willing to try something. I know it didn't work, and I know it was a disaster. But under the previous regime, there was very much right. We're playing 3-5-2. We'll just go like for like and hope the new player is a bit better. I like that he's willing to try something different. I think that's it. It's sort of impressive. Anyway, so the subs were okay. I don't think were they okay then, other than the change of the formation. Odoffin, Hall, High, Bramall, Kelly came on. They all mostly had positive impacts. Odoffin, Hall, and High and Kelly, I thought did okay. Bramall maybe not. But the individuals had probably positive impacts. Kelly obviously scored.
I think Bramall would have had a more positive impact if him and Norton Cuffy were on the pitch at the same time. But I think Cuffy's gone off with a slight injury. I think that's why he went off, which is a worry. But anyway, I thought Odoffin, I've said this in the post-match, but I thought Odoffin got rattled by that early challenge and took a little bit to settle into the game. I don't know if that's tactical from Hull. If it is, they've executed it effectively. If not, then it's a very bad decision from the referee to book him that early. And which led to Odoffin giving the ball away, which led to the goal, which is an unfortunate symmetry, but that's what happened. But after that, Odoffin sort of settled into the game a bit more and actually played all right. Scott High improved midfield massively from Ben Wiles. I thought that was a very effective sub because Scott High seemed to run everywhere. At one point, he even pressed their goalkeeper, so he's done very well. And Georgie Kelly's just done Georgie Kelly things. And so he's come on the pitch. Thought it was interesting that he'd come on for Washington initially. But, Eves got an assist. It was a good assist. I think it was harder for him to mess up the assist than it was for Georgie Kelly to miss the goal, to be fair. But Eves got an assist. He has now contributed to a goal, which could improve his game, should I say. But yeah, Georgie Kelly's just an impact sub now, isn't he? He's the man who comes on. And have you noticed that he scores only after 84 minutes?
Yeah, true.
I'm saying ball goes up on 68 minutes. All right, put your bets on George Kelly after 84 minutes. Off we go.
I just want to mention Odoffin, Mick. I know we're going to talk about the yellow card in a minute, but I'm very happy that Odoffin's getting the minutes. An interesting almost stat is that he's almost played as many minutes under Matt Taylor than he had in the league than he did last season. He's played 131 minutes so far in the league this season. He played 190 in total last season. And I can see why he's getting the minutes. And I'm not going to praise him too much because we lost the game, obviously, but I can see him being an extremely useful player. I still prefer Jimmy Lindsay in front of him, probably. But I can see him being, a very, very useful person this season.
I can. He's a quality player. There's no question about it. And I don't really know why he didn't get as much game time under the last regime. However, you've also got to factor into that how well the other midfielders have been performing. I thought he did he did all right yesterday, and he would have done a lot better had what happened not happened, if that makes sense. I've no doubt about that, but it's football, isn't it?
Yeah. Go on then. Let's let Mick off his leash a little bit. Steve Martin, as we've mentioned, the referee. There's a joke in there about brains and stuff, but we're not going to do that right now. He booked a doffin very, very early on from a doffin, which was the softest yellow card I can remember in a very, very, very long time. I can't remember a softer yellow card. And then there was also the pull on Tom Eaves in the second half, which was just incredible that wasn't given as a penalty. And there was also a handball in the first half, which I haven't seen back, to be fair, but it did look like a handball in the first half in the whole penalty area. It was a shocker. And I think in between those decisions, I think he did okay. I thought his general game management was okay, but he got all three of those decisions completely wrong, and all three have obviously had impacts on the game.
I obviously, on the post-match, had a proper rant at him. And having had 24 hours to sort of reflect on what happened in the game and what I said in the post-match, which I did caveat 2 or 3 times that none of those decisions were why we lost the game. We lost the game because they were better than us and we didn't perform. That's why we lost the game. However, having reflected on what I said, I stand by it all. I thought the decision, those 3 decisions were appalling, and for me personally, the booking of Akima Doffin for the dive that their player did, heading away from goal almost on the touchline. Why that's a booking is even if he'd swung his legs and took the player's legs from under him deliberately, you know what I mean? Then it might be a booking. If he's challenged him and just caught him, and all right, might be a foul. All right, it can't possibly be a booking at that point. But he never even touched him. He just threw himself on the floor, their player. But the consequence of that, so early in the second half, so early after a Doffin came on, you could see he was reluctant to go in for the tackle in that midfield. He was reluctant to get his foot in because he knew, or he probably felt, that he would get another yellow if he did so. And that cost us the goal. That goal would have come. I have no question. I have no concerns about that. That goal would have come. However, it just added to the momentum that Hull were creating. So that was for me not a game-changing decision. However, a game-affecting decision, definitely, and it was a bad one. However, again, I keep saying however, no, it was nowhere near as bad as the decision not to give the penalty against Tom Eaves.
That was crazy.
I mean, I don't think in all the years that I've been watching football, I cannot remember seeing a more blatant penalty. I cannot remember. I mean, Eaves is what, 6'4", 6'5", something like that. From where I was at, it looked like he picked him up by the shoulders and thrown him on the floor.
Yeah, it was definitely 2 hands. There were definitely 2 hands on Eaves.
It was utterly dreadful, but the ref's treatment of Tom Eaves throughout the whole game, was abject. He absolutely just refused to give him anything, and and I accept sometimes it's 6 and 2 threes. That always happens between central defenders and strikers. We know that. However, he just gave him zero protection. He gave him nothing. In fact, he gave it against him most of the time. But that decision was just. And at that point, I think it was 3-1 at that point, was it? I'm pretty sure it was 3-1 at that point. We get a penalty there, could be a different game. It could be a different game. Akima Doffin doesn't get booked. He goes for that challenge in midfield. He wins the ball. They don't get that second goal. I'm not saying we wouldn't have lost. We would have lost. I'm sure we would, because our performance deserved the defeat and Hull's performance deserved the victory. That's not the point, though. I just find it difficult to get my head around these situations. I don't know whether you've seen the Cardiff Swansea game today.
The handball.
The sending off.
The sending off was hilarious, where he threw the ball in the player's face.
Yeah, but the referee has caused that. He's caused that to happen
I didn't see
by
the
giving
build-up.
a stupid foul that wasn't a foul. It was just nothing like it was just a little coming together, a bit of contact. He's given the foul, and then the Swansea players got in there, and it's all kicked off. He's made a rod for his own back there, and this is what the referee did yesterday as well. You know, he made a rod for his own back because he doesn't give the decisions, the obvious ones, and then he sets a precedent, and you can't give anything else. I don't know. I know I keep banging on about it, and I know I've got to stop because I know I upset people about it. But and it's just frustrating. It's so frustrating, you know. And yeah, that penalty call for Eves, just man alive, man alive. That's just unbelievable.
Yeah, Danny, anything you want to add on Mr. Martin that Mick hasn't already?
Yes, I do. With that Tom Eves decision, I've got a bruise on my knuckle on my hand because the advertising board's so hard that I've actually bruised my hand. So thanks, Dave.
Yeah, Nicholas Skidmore says he thinks the steroids have got to the referee's heads.
Yeah,
His ref's head. S64 Miller says she spoke to her Hacks after the game, and he agreed with what Mick said in his post-match review of the yellow card. Yeah. It is what it is. It's poor refereeing, but what can you do? Yeah. I sort of like that Matt Tillers didn't talk about it, or I don't recall hearing him mention it. You know, if that makes sense. He's not hiding behind it. He knows what happened and things like that.
He's not going to talk about it. You can't, as a manager, you can't talk about it, can you?
Some
you
would.
know, you can't.
I think of one.
Well, yeah, some would, but yeah, they end up getting banned and fined and everything else. It's just not worth it. And you know, it's really difficult. It's really difficult because they have such an impact on games, these decisions, and there's no sort of. Not only is there no recourse, there's no explanation. You know, if the ref comes out after the game and says, "Look, from the angle I got it at, it looked like Hakeem Adolfin had taken his back leg deliberately to knock him over. That's how I saw it." All right, well, it's not what happened, but if that's how you saw it, I can see what you said. But there's none of that, you know what I mean? And there isn't any of that because they can't explain half of the decisions that are made.
It was very clear it wasn't one of those. Yes, you could see the players trying to talk to him at times. And it was very much one of those where just pushing people away, not interested in the conversation, which we don't like, but it is what it is. Individual performances, Danny. I want to mention Tom Eves because I thought Tom Eves had an okay game. I've still seeing him get grief and stick on social media, obviously. But I don't know what Tom Eves could have done more. I thought his first touch was almost brilliant. At times, it was brilliant. His hold-up play was much better than it has been. He got an assist, obviously, in the end. It was getting ragged about from left to right. I think we're seeing more of what I want to see from Tom Eves. I think he's getting better game by game, and I'm happy with how he played and Washington as well, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree, actually. I think, well, to be fair, I've seen grief coming already at Matt Taylor on social media. So, world of strange place. But yeah, Tom Eves yesterday, okay game. I think, I don't know. I'm puzzled to think of what he could have done better. Scored, maybe.
He never got a chance, did he?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, some people are never happy until they do score. But we'll say it was a much improved performance from Tom Eves because, like you say, his first touch has improved massively. He's not got the first touch of an elephant before. He's actually able to condition the ball and bring it into him rather than away from him. He was pressing more than he has done. He's still slow chasing after loose balls, but that's probably because he's 6'4", and just not used to it. Yeah, he's not used to that high pressing game. I mean, Smith was exactly the same. He didn't really run after balls, or at least he did slowly until he was conditioned to operate that way. But yeah, with Eves, excuse me, he got into an amazing position when I think it was Barca who played him through. Ran onto that ball, got there, cut back across the box, and then Kelly's finished. So if he can operate like that when him and Kelly are on the pitch together, then that could be a dangerous partnership. I mean, I know Tommy has said he wants 20 goals this season and he hasn't scored any yet. But maybe bring his target down a little bit to maybe 20 assists. No, that's unrealistic as well. But yeah, I want to see Eves and Kelly operate together more, because if Eves can make that run on the left side and then cut it back to Kelly, or even having Kelly who just goes for everything and then the big man up front could prove fruitful from set pieces or corners or whatever. But yeah, Tommy's much better. I think people don't give him the credit he deserves when his performance just moves up a little bit because of what's already happened. But if you really, really watch how he's played, he has improved and he is improving. And yeah, I know Jordan's going to hate me for saying this, but I think he's going to start Tuesday.
Yeah. I think he will. Powerman UK says he has been critical, but thought he was almost as good as that player we had up front last year. We can say Michael Smith. There's no pounds going in for that. John S. with a harsh comment says League One manager, League One result. Strongly disagree. But all about opinions, I suppose.
Can I just say that Matt Taylor has got the exact same record as it stands as the one who shall not be named at Derby after the same amount of games.
There you go.
All right. He's played one more, and the most recent one was a loss to Ipswich, which is quite funny. But if you do it during his first little spell of games, the record is the same. So is that saying he's a League One manager and that's why Matt Taylor's got the same record, or are you saying that Matt Taylor's got a better record and he's a Championship manager? Make your own comparisons, but I'm just saying the record's the same after the same amount of games. So take that as you will.
Stephen Adams says, any thoughts on Jonathan Hill starting with coaching us tomorrow? Yes, Jonathan Hill is one of the coaches that Matt Taylor's been desperate to bring in from Exeter. He will be joining the club from tomorrow, from Monday morning. Have you read the Paul Davis article about him? He's been everywhere. He coached at Man United's youth team. He was on the first team staff at Fulham under René Meulenstein. He was director of swatting director at Sheffield Wednesday. He's worked as technical director for the Jordan FA, and he was also head coach in Norway of Tromsø and Skjul FK, and joined Exeter's coaching staff in the summer. So he's been around the block. Let's put it that way. And I think that helps me. You look at experience, and Matt Taylor needs some help in terms of experience. This guy's been around the world as well as being in England as well. So it takes a lot of boxes in terms of that side of things as well, and hopefully he can help. He obviously will help Matt Taylor, otherwise he won't bring him in. Yeah,
absolutely. He needs to surround himself with his own coaching staff, doesn't he, which is what he's doing. And things will improve, will continue to improve. You know, they've not been. It's not as though they've been bad. We've had a bad performance yesterday on Saturday, but in the main, it's not been too bad. So, you know, and there are improvements. You can see that there are improvements. It's going to be a different way of playing. So you can't it doesn't just happen overnight. You know, right? You've done this for 14 games. Now we're doing this. And all of a sudden you're brilliant at it. It's not how it works. It's not how life works, unfortunately. If it did, then it'd be a lot easier, wouldn't it? So yeah, it's good. It's good that he's bringing experienced people in, and hopefully it'll allow us to kick on. I'm sure it will. It will.
Agreed. Another mention on people mentioned on social media. Ben Wiles has come in for another bout of criticism, Danny. I feel like every so often we get what is starting to feel like a false dawn with Ben Wiles. He has an amazing game. I can't remember which game it was a couple of weeks ago. He had a really, really good game, and you're sort of thinking, right, this is it. He's back on track, and off we go. But again, I know the midfield was a problem area for us yesterday, but I could see what Rathbone were doing. Rathbone had a decent enough game. Barlaser impacted it massively. We talked about Dauphin when he came on. I thought Wiles just went completely missing. And I don't know whether that's his fault because he's not playing very well, or whether the system isn't working for him at the minute. But that's a real problem. We've got to do something to either get Wilesy into the game or get him off the pitch. It's one or the other right now for me. It's been 14 games and we've seen maybe a game and a half worth of good performances from him so far?
I think against Stoke he played better. Maybe that was because him and Rathbone were slightly more advanced in that front line, maybe, and had a bit more freedom. But yeah, I don't know. It is a strange case with Wiles. I mean, I've seen I don't know how reliable this account is, but he's already in conversation to leave for Burnley in the summer. I don't know how true that is, but it certainly raises a few eyebrows as to why those performances have started coming up. Even if it isn't true, maybe his head's been turned, maybe he sees his future elsewhere. I'm not entirely sure that's Wiles' headspace, but at this moment in time, it's just not as efficient as it can be with Wiles. Like, we saw how efficient he worked last season, and it was fantastic.
Yeah.
We've seen that in the Championship, even when he's not playing his natural position, I mean, even playing at left back at times, he still works efficiently to the job that he's done. But at just this moment in time, it's just something that's not firing correctly with Wiles, whether it's something he needs just a little bit of a spell out and to come on the pitch and to find that vein of form when it's like, right, I'm coming on the pitch and we'll go at it this way. And if Scott I plays that way when he comes on as Wiles' replacement, then that's the natural tweak in the formation or in the lineup that you need, really. Which is a shame because we do like Ben Wiles and we know how good he can be. He's just not applying it efficiently, which when you're in a league that depends on results, which this one is for us, that's when Matt Taylor makes the hard job of, do I drop him or do I keep him and hope for the best? And after Scott I's performance, he has a big job to think about now.
Yes, he does. And Jamie Lindsay's back fit as well. So to another guy being ready. A few comments with him. Nicholas Skidmore says we need to get Wiles on the ball more because he has it in his locker and can be really dangerous. Yeah, I agree. Obviously not seeing it. Paramount UK, back as much as what you're saying, Danny, there are rumours going around that he is pushing for the move to Burnley still. Chris Taylor says, I like Wiles, but I've never seen him have a game like their player, Woods. The rest of the midfield never runs through the middle. Really clicks. It says same sort of things. I keep seeing rumours on social media for other teams being interested in Wiles. Thinks it's about time we take the money and sell him. Where do you sit on this, mate? Because it's a tough one because we all know what Wiles is capable of. Or are we thinking too much of him? What do you think?
My sort of spidey senses are suggesting that he's on his way out of the club.
I agree.
That's what I'm thinking. I think his head's been turned, and that's not for turning back now. So I might be completely wide at mark with that, but that's just how that's how I kind of read the situation. If that's the case, we need to get rid in January and at least get something before his contract's up. So we'll see what happens. But he certainly needs some time out the first team, whether he'll be on the bench, probably on the bench, just to try and focus his mind a little bit, because I don't think his mind's fully on it. And he seems to me to be very much a confidence player as well. You know, if he's down on confidence, then his performance is going to drop. So that might help him as well. You know, calling him out and everything else on social media obviously is going to motivate him and make him feel a lot better about himself, because it does with everybody, doesn't it? Not. So, but we'll see. Whatever. I think it's time he perhaps had a spell. Warming bench for a bit.
Maybe the World Cup, the break for the World Cup might do him some good as well. Potentially, that's only a couple of weeks away.
I don't think it will, Matt. I don't think that's that. For me, that's not the point. I think the point is to have him out of the team while the team are playing.
Yeah.
You know, I think the psychological impact of that is more than just, we're having a break because at World Cup kind of thing. Nobody's playing. You know what I mean? So, just my view. I don't know whether that's right or not, but.
Yeah, we'll see. James Davis says Taylor said his post-interview Wiles has been playing injured, and that's why he came off. Yeah, I don't know. I think other players have played with injuries and played much better than that, and put more effort in and things like that. There's questions on Wiles that we can't answer, but there are questions there that I think we will find out. If he leaves in January, then we've all got his answer, haven't we? We all know that. We all know. If he suddenly picks up in form, then we also know. So let's wait and see what happens with that. Anything else from the Hull game that you want to mention? I'm trying to forget about it as quickly as possibly can. Danny, make anything else you want to cover that we haven't already covered? Any performances or moments?
No, bin it off. Let's consign it to the dustbin of history and move on to the next game.
The other thing I will say is I hope it's a bogey amount of goals that we've conceded. Hopefully we don't concede 4 again this season, because I don't think I'll be able to. My football brain won't be able to compute it.
Yeah, not fun. Not fun for conceding 4 at home, but it does happen. Fleetwood last year. It's not long over a year ago, is it? The Fleetwood game.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah. Anyway. So the rearranged game against Coventry is now coming up. It will be our first ever visit to what is now known as the Coventry Building Society Stadium, previously known as the Ricoh Arena. Still never played there. Our last time we played Coventry away and won was when they were in Northampton, the 3-0 victory in 2000. I put 2013. That doesn't sound right. Paul Won manager, so it can't be 2013. Might have been 2018. Damn it. Damn it. Didn't see that one coming.
I know you've just mentioned this in private chat, and I wasn't going to mention it, but I'm going to set up a Just Giving page. I'm going to set it so that everybody can see that this has been contributed to. It's going to be called "Don't Mention the War." So
I like that. I think you need to stick on another couple letters onto that, Mick.
I do.
I see. I'm not being cut out. I see what you mean.
That'll be coming very soon. All proceeds to Rotherham Hospice, obviously.
We are about a tenner so far as a team, and that's only after about 3 weeks. So yeah, we'll get some pennies raised. So yeah, I'll have to double check. Probably 2018. We last won against Coventry. The last time we won in Coventry was 1964. Which was a 5-3 win. I don't know. Mick, do you know if they always played at Highfield Road before Ricoh? Do we know if they played anywhere else?
Not that I'm aware of. Highfield Road is the only ground that I was aware of prior to this place.
Cool. And I think after Tuesday, we may be one of the only teams to play them at all of their stadiums that they've played at, all the many stadiums, because we have to play them. They played at Highfield Road, obviously. We obviously played at Northampton, as I mentioned. We played at Birmingham's ground when they played there, and now we're finally playing at the CBS after all this time.
I'm going to. Can I spoil the party if my Wi-Fi is still working? Still working? Oh no.
We can. Yeah, go on.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Sorry, but I had a big lag. Sorry. Not quite all at Highfield Roads. They moved to Highfield Road in 1899, but I think they were formed in 1883, so they bounced about a bit. It'll be the first. It will in our entire history. It's the first time we've played them at all their grounds. Yeah.
Yes, I'll take that.
A bit picky that, Danny. To be honest, not being able to remember 1888, 89 season.
Steve Adams says John Galley got a hat trick on his debut in the 5-3 victory in 1964. Thank you very much, Stephen. We always love some stats from back then. Well, I'll have stats anyway, to be honest with you. So if we win 5-3 on Tuesday, they've got some symmetry in there. Don't think that'll happen. So let me give you another stat on Coventry, Mick. Coventry have the joint lowest amount of goals scored in the Championship. They've also got the joint best defensive record in the Championship. Well, they don't score and they don't concede. Now, they have played a couple of games less than everybody else. But that tells you, what, 0-0, 1-0? Or is it going to be a barn-burning 5-3? What do you reckon?
Well, this is the thing, innit? I remember having a conversation with us in the last time at Championship after Stoke game, the first one, which was just dreadful, and we were all predicting a note apiece, and it ended up 3-3, didn't it? So, yeah, it depends whether our defence turn up, whether we get that sorted after Saturday. I'm sure they will. I'm sure they'll bounce back. In which case, there's probably not going to be many goals. I think they've conceded 1 in 7, have they? Something like that.
So yeah, they're on a very, very hot streak at the minute after a very awful start.
Listen, it's It's Championship, mate. It could end up 7 each.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just nobody. You cannot predict it at all, and that's the beauty of it. But we just need to be starting to pick up points again now. We need to bounce back from that defeat and get some more points on board. We're in a fantastic position, a great position, better than any of us would ever have dreamed probably at this point of the season. So it's just a question of making sure we arrest any sort of drop off in form. We nip it in the bud, and even if it's a point, if it's a 0-0 draw, we'll take that right now, because it just it stops us getting into losing 2, 3, 4 on the trot. So it's about improving that performance. That's all.
Yeah. I mentioned their run. They've won 3 in a row. They've also won 4 of their last 6, having won none of their first 8. So they've turned a massive corner in the last month or so. Very similar to Luton. I know Luton had obviously they'd had a much less bad start because Coventry were bottom of the league, but Luton started very slow and Luton took off like a train. These things happen. We were talking a week ago about this might be quite an easy game. Not an easy game, but a game where we can pick up 3 points. It's going to be a tough game.
We've still got to look for 3 points from it, though, Matt. It's one of those games that is going to be on the sort of, without wanting to sound smart, on the easier side of the last 4 games that run up to the World Cup. So we need to be looking to get 3 points out of it, don't we?
Yeah. Don't clip that if you're a Coventry fan, please.
No, don't.
Oh dear.
Let's look at how we're going to start and play, Danny. The logic tells you that probably Richard Wood's not going to play. He played 90 minutes, and so far under Matt Taylor, he hasn't played consecutive games when we've had a midweek game. Do you think that's going to happen again? You could see him taking a risk. How's back 3 going to look? Do you think, or back 4 possibly? I don't know.
I'm not entirely sure, because Matt Taylor's obviously saying that the back 4 didn't entirely work. So I don't know if that means he's going to revert to a back 3, which he probably might do, as starting formation at least. But I can see Grant Hall coming into the middle, Harding on the right-hand side again, if all's well, and then maybe even Humphreys coming in as well, because Peltier was one that really didn't have that good of a performance against Hull, so I can see Humphreys coming back into the starting 11 for that. But I might throw in McCart as well on that left-hand side.
I really want to see McCart again. It gives you balance. I can't understand it.
Yeah, I think McCart might come into it. Probably if we want to shore up the back and really go defensively, that's when he might come into it. Or if we need a different distribution element, for example, if Barlas has gone off to tweak midfield, etc. But yeah, I can see a back line of Harding, Hall, and Humphreys, the 3 H's at the back.
Nicholas Skimore says he might see the same formation as Stoke with an extra man in midfield. Before we go further, Mick, Simon Thorne says he wants a Mick Rant update on his half-time wait for a cup of tea.
Oh,
Mick.
mate, honestly. I felt sorry for the lad behind counter, to be honest, but the lad I stood with, someone I used to work with, asked for a cup of tea. So he's pulled the cup off the stack of cups, looked in it, no tea bag. So he pulls another one, looks in it, no tea bag. And every time he pulls one up, the tea bag's falling out and sitting on top of the cup underneath it. No, it's there, mate. It's there.
Yeah. Oh, it's a bit gone. Oh, there you go.
I'm going to say that froze at the perfect time for you, mate.
You was like this. Something I also want to mention, which I've wanted to mention for a few weeks, the ball boys and girls system at New York Stadium is rubbish. They're all around the stadium, but they don't seem to get. Some of them just don't get up. I don't know if they've been told to wait and not get the ball, which is fine if they have, or not, because it seems to take an age for the ball to come back sometimes, doesn't it? There's no rush from the ball boys or girls. I don't. Anyway, side point. Side point. Mick, midfield. As with Nicholas Skimore says, midfield probably maybe back to the similar formation as last Tuesday against Stoke. Could you see that?
Yeah. I 100% agree with that. I think that's what he's going to do. Possibly even same personnel. I don't see any. That's
Lindsay.
me.
Lindsay will probably be available. And Lindsay's one of them that if he is available, you don't need to be sensible and manage his hamstring. If he's ready, he's ready. It's just a matter of being ready. And maybe him, if Rathbone's injuries is not worth the risk, you chuck Lindsay in there. Because Lindsay deserves another chance.
He does. Absolutely. And if Rathbone is nursing an injury, it might be swap like for like. But I think formation-wise, will be as per Stoke, and possibly even personnel will be very similar as well. So it's same again.
Okay,
early
same
goal.
Again.
And and Wickham for the rest of the game.
Fair enough. Danny, that leaves really the question up top. What are you going to do? Could you see Eves play up top on his own if you're going to go an extra man in midfield, or do you think it should be Kelly against these?
I don't think just a singular man up top actually suits us, to be fair. I think we saw that against Stoke with Kelly being drawn into being too defensive. And Eve sort of did the same job when he came on for Kelly. I think he came on for Kelly. When he came on the pitch anyway. I would like to see Kelly and Eves start, potentially. If we want to go all guns blazing from the start and get the early goal against Coventry, which sort of worked for us against Stoke, we rode a look a little bit, but you never know. But if that's to occur later in the game, then I think it'll be Washington and Eves who start for me. Eves and Kelly, the two bulldozers up front, could prove fruitful. We don't know. If you can hear some rumbling behind me, there is a massive thunderstorm here in Tattersall. Yeah, it's mad. Reece, I'm glad Reece has packed double pants, to be honest, because it's just jumped 3 feet off the settee.
Oh, bro. Yeah, let's do some score predictions, and then I'll ask about wing backs. Danny, I'll give you first pick. Not many goals for Coventry recently. What do you think to choose this result?
Well, we've already brought up that Coventry's conceded like once in the last 7, which, oh dear. But I don't know. We could see another sort of Stoke performance where it was a little bit smash and grab. Because I don't think Stoke had conceded all too many in the previous games. I don't know. I could see a 1-0 smash and grab from the Millers, but at the same time, I could see an absolute dominating performance from Coventry and just putting 3 past us if we don't have our heads in the right space. You know what? Screw it. I'll go 1-0 Rotherham.
1-0 Millers, like it, Mick.
1-1.
1-1. I will go 2-0 to Coventry.
Oh, look at that.
Unnecessary. You'll get it right now as well. Comment section, do your job. Have a go for Matt because he's gone negative.
Jamie says 1-0. Simon Thorne says 3-1, expecting a strong bounce back. Hopefully, you are right. We will be doing a post-match afterwards. Danny, you won't be going to Coventry, will you? I assume.
I am going to Coventry.
You are?
Yes,
You're taking a break from your holiday to go to Coventry?
Yes, we are driving to Coventry. All 3 of us have got our tickets, so we've gone, screw it, we'll drive. Why not?
Complete commitment. I absolutely adore that. That's brilliant. Me and Mick will be on the post-match on Twitter straight after. The next episode will be Wednesday evening / Thursday morning, depending on when you listen, for one reason or another. So, come on. Nicholas Skidmore says 1-0 to Coventry. And Andy Wingle goes even more negative than me. 3-0 to Coventry, he thinks. Not the most negative on here. I will take that. Any final points we want to cover before we consign this episode to history?
Yeah, not from me. Well, let's get it in bin, mate. Come on. Get it in the bin. 4-2 defeat at home. Bin it. Move on.
Bin it. Thank you, everybody who has been involved tonight. We appreciate it. If you haven't already, please subscribe on YouTube, on the YouTube channel. The instant reaction is up. Danny, will the vlog up Monday, do you reckon? Or are you just doing a holiday?
No, the vlog's not going up. It'll upset me too much. And the worst thing is I missed Kelly's goal as well. So the whole point of the video is now out the window. So, yeah, unfortunate.
Again, it's consigned to history. We don't have to worry about that anymore.
But, no, I think I might do a vlog for Coventry because the two lasses who are joining us Tuesday night, we're going to do a Top Gear race. Can we get back from Coventry before they get from Sheffield to Tattersall?
I like that. Big fan of that. Yeah. Like it. If you're listening audio, please subscribe to iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get that from. Danny, thank you for being here, and I hope the storm passes without incident.
Yeah, me too. It's bloody loud outside. I don't like it.
Well, Nick, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're very welcome.
See you all Wednesday evening.
Bye.
Bye.
Ravel. Ambitious. But brilliant. Mule with it. Wood's got around the back. And Richie Wood has done it again. The magic man has come up with another trick. Well, here's a chance to seal it.